The Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to her. The Pink Pulpits Podcast explores the living, learning, and leading of women in the 21st century. How does the modern woman handle the world the gospel way? This podcast is for women in ministry, women surrounded by ministry, and so many more. Join us weekly on Saturdays at 6 p.m. for the Pink Pulpits Podcast, the gospel according to her.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another powerful edition of the Pink Pulpit Podcast. This is an episode that I'm so excited about. And you already guys know that this is the gospel according to her. I'm your faith chick, Lady Nicole Green. And this really is a space where faith meets real life. Purpose meets the process, and women learn how to win in their pulpit. And whether your pulpit is the marketplace ministry, or you're mentoring, or you're in the thick of motherhood, this podcast is for you. Today's episode is fresh from my heart. And I just returned. Some of you guys have been following me. No, that is returned from a girls' trip. That was powerful, fun. It was fulfilling and truly purposeful. And yes, we laughed, we rested, but more than that, we connected. And what I felt in those moments were really more than friendship. It was that big C word, covenant. Hear about covenant, people talk about covenant, that I'm in covenant with you, you're in covenant with me. I have covenant relationships with sons and daughters that are in my ministry. But today I really want to dive into, because God started to deal with me about how many of us women are trying to grow in isolation, especially African American women. And somebody was telling me, girl, as a white girl, we do it too. But, from the perspective of sometimes as Black women, I feel like, you hear it's hard or challenging sometimes for us to really learn how to be in covenant with each other. And a lot of us have a tendency of growing in isolation. Some of us are praying for elevation, and we're really refusing divine covenant connections. We're asking God for purpose, but avoiding people. And the truth of the matter is this: you cannot fully become what God has called you to be without the right people walking with you. Can I say that again? You really can't grow and get to where you inevitably know you're supposed to be without the right people. Even with Adam, when we think about it, here it is: God created the crown jewel of his creation, and he said it is not good for man to be alone. So today, we are talking about covenant friendships. Stop, rewind, play. All of you that are saying, hey, I got a girlfriend circle, I got a sister circle, I got these connections that I know are divine. I really want to talk to you about covenant friendships, not convenient relationships, not seasonal attachment, and not divine connections that are just in your life saying, I'm divine, but connections that are going to stretch you, that are going to shape you, that are going to sharpen you, and then are going to send you forward. So let's chop it up today. All of you all that want to be in true covenant connection and covenant relationships. So today, one of my first points or premises is that covenant connections are assigned and they're not accidental. True covenant friendships, I believe, are heaven sent. And they're heaven sent on purpose for your purpose. We all have purpose, we all have destiny, but I believe that they really are friendships that God has sent to get you fully engaged in purpose. And when God wants to accelerate a woman, he doesn't just send a word, even though he does send a word, he sends a witness. That's why that story about Mary and Martha is so powerful, because Mary did not grow alone. God connected her to Elizabeth, and a woman who could confirm what God had deposited. It says it this way, and it came to pass that when Elizabeth heard the salutation of Mary, the babe in her womb leaped. That's from Luke 1:41 in the King James Version. So before Mary ever preached Jesus, her purpose was confirmed and affirmed in relationship. So let me just say this. Some of what a lot of us are carrying won't leap until you get around the right people. You're trying to figure out, how can I get my vision to leap? How can I get my destiny to get off the page? And you need to get around the right people, the right women. So stop calling every relationship God sent. I think so many times we've been in isolation so long that we be like, oh, this is God sent, this is God sent. Every relationship not necessarily is God sent. And you got to ask yourself, does this connection confirm my calling, or does it compete with it? You got to pray for assigned relationships that are not just comfortable ones, because sometimes we can get into a challenging relationship and feel like it's not a covenant relation, but that doesn't mean that either. We're looking for comfortable and convenience, and God really is calling you into covenant. And covenant sometimes takes work. And then you have to recognize that covenant friendships require intentional maintenance. Did I just say it takes work? You have to be intentionally maintaining these relationships. You don't stumble into covenant, you steward it. It reminds me of Ruth and Naomi. Ruth didn't casually follow Naomi. She chose to follow Naomi. She chose to stay in covenant. It says it this way: where thou goest, I will go. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God shall be my God. We hear that. And they said that in Ruth 1:16. That wasn't emotional. That was intentional alignment, intentionally staying in covenant relationship. Because covenant friendships require communication, accountability, vulnerability, protection, and consistency. I believe that I am a covenant keeping friend. Even when it doesn't make sense, even when it would look crazy for me to stick it out, I really am protective. I stay vulnerable, probably too vulnerable sometimes. And I want to always be very consistent. You know, I'm not that friend that's gonna sit around and talk about another friend to a friend. And I just stop it. I'm like, I don't, no, 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 she's my friend. And I've been a person that's happened to, where I felt like we were in covenant. We were in this true blue relationship, and it seemed like there was some side conversations happening about me. And when the person said, the person I'm in covenant with says something to me, I'm like, wow, I didn't think that that's how we vibe with each other, and I didn't feel like I was being protected in the relationship. And some of you, you may be challenged right now in a relationship, and you may not have stewarded the best way that you really could. What I'm saying to you is retract, repent, and steward the relationship better. We're fighting everything else. We shouldn't have to fight in what God has ordained: covenant relationships, covenant friendships, covenant partnerships that God has tried to set you up for destiny and for purpose. It I was on Facebook the other day, and this thing came across my feed about Beyonce going to Kelly Rowland's concert, and it was a powerful witness and a powerful a statement. Because here it is, she Beyonce, right? And everybody talks about, Beyonce, she's busy, she's this, she's that. All this stuff is jumping off, right? And the fact of the matter is, she made sure that Kelly understood we weren't just friends when we were in Destiny's Child. We wasn't just cool when everything was, when we were all coming up together. And some people would say that, Beyonce is, hey, this huge iconic figure that is pretty bigger than life, right? And Kelly's, iconic and true blue, but she may not, people may look at it and say she's not at the same level. And here Beyonce said, no, I'm in covenant with this woman. Because she not only went to her concert once, she went to it twice. I think they said she went once with her mom, and then she went back with somebody else. And wore a lanyard around her neck like, she needed it. She Beyonce, right? So I'm sure they would probably let her go wherever she wanted. But the bottom line is she was saying, no, this relationship is beyond us just singing together. I want you to know that I believe in you, that I celebrate you, that I'm down for you, and that whatever you're doing, I want to be a part of and celebrating it. It's just like when Naomi and Ruth said, "Yo, guy's my guy. Yo, people, wherever you go, I'm going." And it was so powerful because here she is. She could have easily, and let me say this because we do this with friendship, calls you, but girl, I'm busy. I got this going on. Got this jumping off or whatever. And I've had people be surprised at how I show up because I am intentional about coveting and protecting relationship. And you need to be too. You can't pray for covenant and practice convenience. And that's what you have to recognize. We look at relationship like, well, they'll go understand. It'll be all right. And to me, relationship shouldn't have to um, be convenient or be okay with you not being integral. And you may say, well, Lady Nicole, it's not really been integral if I really got something jumping off. If you in covenant, yeah, because we all busy. We all got something going on. But if I'm really in covenant relationship with you, I had a girlfriend who mom had a physical challenge, and within an hour, I'm on a plane because I'm in covenant with you. And I got life going on, stuff going on, and you may say that's a bit much. I don't think so. And I think that's the reason why our relationships are in the state that they're in, because we do think that's unreasonable. You got to be present and not just post it. You got to check on your covenant sisters even when it's quiet and even when it's not quiet. You got to protect the relationships God is growing you through. And not just be someone that's participating, but fully present, fully engaged, and fully saying, no, I'm in this thing, I'm all in. Because I believe that covenant sisterhood produces accelerated growth. What could take you years alone can happen in months with the right people, can happen in weeks with the right people. It says, after Ruth stayed connected, her life turned into one big chapter. Literally, she met Boaz. She entered provision. She secured legacy. She shifted her lineage. Covenant connections are to push you when you're tired, to push you when you've staled out, pray you through when you're weak, hold you when you're breaking, and celebrate you when you're winning. You got to recognize that relationships are about helping to to s- to to structure you and to refine you and to propel you and to be promising new opportunities of growth for you, because isolation delays destiny. Sisterhood accelerates it. So many of us are isolated. We're not really in covenant. We have what's called connections. And we're connected, but we're not really in covenant with each other. We're not really in partnership to the degree that it's going to be uncomfortable for me. It's uncomfortable sometimes for me to tap in and step in for my friend, or to be present in spaces for my friend. I could be doing 50 million things too, but I'm in covenant. And this covenant should mean something to us. When you get in rooms that stretch your faith, I believe God's calling you sometimes into covenant with those people. When you travel with people who activate you spiritually, those are covenant relationships. Don't just grow personally. You got to be determined, I'm going to grow on purpose and I'm going to be intentional about these relations. Remember, we're talking about covenant, not convenience. You cannot become in isolation what God designed you to become in community. It takes community a lot of times, the majority of the time, to really evolve and to grow into the greater piece of who God's calling you to be. It's, remember that song back in the day who said, friends, how many of us have them? Friends, the ones you can depend on. I need for you all to really understand, because here's the truth. Your next level is not just in your prayer life. Your next level is in your people life. So when we're talking about how many of us really have covenant friendships? And God is ready, I believe, to introduce you to covenant friendships that will propel you, that will prompt you, that will fill you up to overflow. They'll strengthen your faith. They will truly sharpen your vision and help you see further. They'll stretch your capacity. Some of us, our capacity is so small and so shrunk down that we cannot even get filled with the more and the better of what God has. And He's trying to expand our capacity and we haven't stretched it. And true covenant relationships will accelerate your assignment. But can I say this? You got to be intentional. It is time for us to get out of just being blasé and cavalier and be intentional. You don't fall into deep divine relationships. You choose them. And if God can use sisterhood to confirm Mary, if God can use mentorship to transform Ruth, then God can use covenant connections to evolve you. And so many of us, God is trying to evolve. You've been like that so long, and you say, that's just the way I am. And how is that working for you? How is the way you are helping you to be better, to be bigger, to be bolder, to get the breakthrough that God has for you? It's time, ladies, for us to evolve, to get out of the mundane, to get out of the stuck place, and to get into some uncomfortable places, some uncomfortable covenant relationships that I believe are the reason why some of us are held up and some of us haven't grown and some of us haven't gotten further and some of us aren't where we're supposed to be. It is time for you to get just stretched out in where you're supposed to be. So can I give you a challenge this week? Okay. This is your challenge this week. Pray for divine connections. And for the connections you have in your life right now, I want you to protect the ones you already have, the one that God has already given you. If you have not stewarded them well, then just hit the reset button and regroup and now protect them and steward them better than you've been. Show up. Don't just come up with the excuse of, girl, I can't make it to the party, or I can't make it to your thing, or I'm not going to be able to do it, or I'm not going to be able to. No, show up. Be present. Be in the building to help your friend. No, everybody else is celebrating you, and I am too. And then be the kind of friend, sister, girl, friend that you're asking God to send you. That's the one thing that, you know, relationships for me have been challenging at times. But one of the reasons why is because I show up as the person that I want someone to be for me. And then when someone doesn't show up that way, it does become disappointing. So when I'm telling you, be the kind of sister that you are asking God to send, because the Bible says that when you sow it, you're going to reap it. So if you sow the kind of friend you want to be, you're going to reap the kind of friend that you have been. You don't know how to be a covenant friend? I want to give you what's called the Covenant Circle Kit. I was getting ready to call it something else, but I want to call it the Covenant Circle Kit. And I want you to recognize that some of us need help in this area. And what I have put together is a kit that is a 7-day devotional. It's a faith check declaration card. It's a listener's journal worksheet that as you are re-listening to this podcast and re-listening to this podcast and re-listening, as faith comes by hearing, you're getting ready to solidify on the inside of you, what things do I need to tweak? What things do I need to align with differently? What things do I need to do so that I can show up and be that covenant connection? And then you're going to get a weekly accountability prompt sheet that as you are walking out covenant relationships, as you are being better in relationship and friendship, and you're growing your circle so that you can expand your capacity, so that you can grow to deeper levels and higher heights, you're going to learn and learn how to be better in friendship. So this covenant circle kit, listen, I want you to go to my bio. You'll be able to click the link. The whole kit together is going to be $17. I know you like, that's a steal. I know you're robbing me. No, I'm joking. What I'm saying to you is for $17, you're going to be able to get this full kit, covenant circle kit. And if you say, hey, Lincoln, I don't need all the pieces, can I get this piece and that piece? Yes. For $5 for each one of them, you're going to be able to download and get it. That 7-day journal, you and your girlfriends, those of you that are already in a sister circle, you may be saying to yourself, I need us to be better. I need us to we may have done some things that are not been real cool with each other, or places where we feel like we haven't shown up for each other the way we need to be. What I'm telling you is you all can do the 7-day journal together. And I want you to get that today. The whole Covenant Circle kit, you get the whole one together for $17. You can't beat that with a stick. Just don't eat Starbucks for 2 days and go on and get it. Or if you say, hey, I don't need all the pieces, but I would love the Faith Chick Declaration card, I would love the listener's journal worksheet, then you can get those individually for $5. But you might as well get the whole set together, because if you get them all individually, you're going to pay over $20. But if you get the kit together, then you are going to only have to pay $17. And what I'm saying to you, can I say this? This is an investment you need to make so that you can fulfill destiny, so that you can grow in purpose, so you can be better. Your capacity can expand. You can really grow into being all that God is calling you to be, all that God wants you to be, and all that you want to be. You want better relationships. You want better friendships. And you got to stop being alone. You you cannot get to where you want to get to alone and having casual relationships. You need covenant circles, not casual circles, but covenant ones. And I need for you to do this today. Go to my bio. You go to our Instagram page in the bio and click the links. You go to our YouTube page. Some of y'all watch on YouTube now. Ooh, what up? And you can click the links there. But I'm so serious about this, to the point that for the next on Monday, starting Monday, for just the weekend Monday, I'm going to jump on our page, and I'm going to be talking about friendships. I'm going to be talking about covenant. What does it really mean to be in covenant? I'm going to share with you some major things that have happened that called me not to be in a relationship with people, and how God was dealing with me how to correct those relationships. So some of you may have been the culprit And you need to do some correcting and some connecting. And I want to talk to you about that. And then next week, you don't want to miss our next week podcast, because we're going to be talking about um, how to break toxic circles. Because some of y'all, some toxic circles that need to be broken. And then some of y'all trying to get out of relationships that you really need to be in, but because you don't want to do the work to be intentional and steward them well. I need for you to just dial in a brand new way. And so what I'm asking you to do is go check out those links and grab that that circle kit today. Because it's time for us to be better in relationship. It's time for us to grow in relationship. And it's time for us to be who God's calling us to be in those relationships. It really is. So go get it today. And my prayer is that you're ready to see your sister circle grow into a great place. This has been the Pink Pulpit Podcast, the gospel according to her. It is for women by women who are building their lives on purpose, with purpose, and through purpose. And we're doing it all through covenant and not convenience. Women, these relationships are necessary to build your life. So build yours today. Until next time, stay faithful, stay intentional, and never walk alone. Get your covenant connections because they're key. I'm Lady Nicole, your faith chick. And you know what? Connect with our community. Be a part of our faith fam so that we can sharpen each other together. I'll see you next time.